All right, so welcome to this webinar on how focusing helps you get past overwhelm and distress to ease and calm. Joining me today, Lucinda Hayden, Carol Nickerson, and I'm Weiser Cornell. We're very excited. We love this stuff. It's September. It's time to start teaching again. Wonderful. Great. So I'm just going to give a bit of an introduction to this webinar. Just wanted to say that you can see us. If you called in by Zoom, you can see us, but we cannot see you. 2 people called in by phone. Everyone else has called in on the Zoom system, but because it's a webinar, not a meeting, we don't see you. And you can talk to us by using the chat. So along the bottom of your screen, and you may not even see it until you move your cursor, or if you're calling on a mobile device, it might be the top of your screen, but there's a place where a number of different icons are, and one of them is chat. Aha! We just got a chat from Sharon McGann saying, great to be here. Thank you, Sharon. Great. So you can chat to us as we go along. And there'll be a time later when we want your interaction, we want your questions. Basically, we have got some things to share with you about the amazing focusing process that's been so meaningful for us. We've got an actual exercise today that we will contribute to your well-being and forward life energy, and a lot of fascinating tips and information. And I'm going to say just a little bit, and then I'm going to invite Lucinda and Carol to talk a little about how focusing has been meaningful for them. So I'm going to share my screen. Those of you who are on the phone, I'm going to describe what we're seeing. We're going to be talking about how focusing helps you live the life you know is possible, and how it helps you be stronger, calmer, and more able to deal with your life. And don't we all need that? And also that focusing is a skill to put you in charge of your change process. And I think that's one of the most important things. I mean, I'm hoping that everyone here, I have the faith that everyone who's on this call, either live or listening, is interested in the personal growth, life enhancement, releasing the trauma from the past and growing to be more and more the person you can be, having better relationships, being able to make clearer decisions, that whole world of growth and healing in the area of our emotional reactions to life. Well, don't we also need empowerment as we do that, to be in charge of these processes? You know, this is the kind of journey for which many people go to therapists. And I am a big fan of therapy, and our program is also for therapists, but not exclusively. And my favorite therapists are those who also, and Carol is one of them, who also empower the seeker of change. So focusing is the thing that does all of those things. And just a brief definition of focusing. Focusing is a process of bringing non-judgmental awareness to how you are feeling and thinking in the present moment, and how all of that impacts your body. And that's an initial definition of focusing. I think by the end of our hour, we're going to know a lot more about what focusing is. So what we're planning to show you today is why trying to fix yourself, right, is exactly the wrong approach. It's actually counterproductive. What we can do instead of trying to fix ourselves. We're going to show you a powerful way to stop beating yourself up and give yourself support instead. And we're going to show you how to create a supportive inner relationship. So you're listening to yourself and your feelings can communicate with you, and the whole thing can change. And why do we do this? We have a why. We believe that every person deserves greater self-acceptance, better emotional balance, more satisfying relationships, and we believe there's a natural emotional healing process found in body awareness, in the process of body awareness. And this not only releases stress and trauma, but also carries you forward in the direction of a fuller life. Now, my own personal motto is relieve suffering, awaken possibility. And I wouldn't want to be either one of those or without the other one. So relieve suffering, release trauma, heal emotional wounds from the past, heal emotional wounds that might have happened yesterday. And yet there's also what impels us forward, our passions, our longings, the person we always knew we could be if it weren't for these blocks that we carry. So it's both. And one of the many things I love about focusing is it helps with both. So I'm just going to introduce myself a little bit more. Then I'm going to ask Lucinda to go ahead, and then Carol. And we'll be introducing ourselves in whatever way we're moved to right now, and maybe some stories about how focusing has helped us. You know, I'm proud to say that I learned focusing 45 years ago, 1972. And my mentor, Eugene Genlin, the developer of focusing, died earlier this year. He was 90. So I knew him for the whole second half of his life, 45 years. And the gift that he gave to me and the whole world by giving us focusing is just immeasurable, immeasurable. And I was 22, really pretty much of a mess. I came from an alcoholic family background. I didn't know how to handle my emotional overload, and as a student in graduate school, I was having a lot of that, but I had no tools, no support to deal with it all. And learning focusing and being part of a focusing community where people exchanged focusing and focusing partnership, I'm convinced it saved my life. My 20s were hard enough as it was, but without focusing and focusing partnership, I don't know what would have happened. I certainly would be an alcoholic today. I'm convinced of that, like my father was. So focusing many gifts, and it's been my life work to make focusing as easy and as empowering as possible through creating courses, through creating trainings, through creating books, CDs, audio materials. I guess I know my passion, and I think my friends do too. Lucinda, please go next.
Yes. All right, and it's showing Carol. Am I on the screen? It's showing Carol. Oh no, here I am. Okay. Hello. I hope everybody.
We lose ourselves sometimes on Zoom.
You want to see everyone? Click gallery view.
Okay. All right. Let me do that then, just so that I know what's going on. All right. Hello, everybody. Yes, and it is so exciting to be here, getting ready, moving toward fall, isn't it, Anne? Teaching, and yeah, I just love focusing so much, and I'm so thrilled to be able to teach it. I grew up, I have the highly sensitive person wiring, and so I'm a very sensitive person, and my mother was not, was very critical and controlling. I have the feeling it was like sand on silk. It was the feeling that I had when I was growing up. Just
you and your mother?
Yes, my mother was the sandpaper.
You didn't fix with each other. Sandpaper, you were the silk, she was the sand.
I was the silk, right. You know, it was like, and yeah, being very sensitive like that. Later, when I discovered the highly sensitive person wiring, things started to make more sense. But one of the aspects of having this kind of wiring is a lot of anxiety anyway. And then being born into kind of a traumatic situation. I was an only child, so all of my mother's control was directed on me. And yeah, it was miserable. There were a lot of other things that were miserable about my childhood as well. But growing up, I always felt drawn to spirituality and personal growth, and had a lot of passion for all of that. But I always had this underlying anxiety until I found focusing. And focusing really helped me to overcome that. I mean, I'm still a sensitive person, still have that wiring, but I'm not dominated by fear and anxiety like I was all of the years until I found focusing. And you were saying earlier, Anne, how much you love therapy. And what just occurred to me that I never really thought of before is I haven't done therapy. You know, I'm not a therapist. Carol is our resident psychotherapist here in our training program. So I'm a hypnotherapist. I've done many kinds of personal growth, Buddhism, many paths I've followed, but not therapy. I've never actually done therapy. And so I attribute focusing to helping me with really healing a lot of the wounds from childhood, and also even, really helping me with dealing with my nature, my sensitive nature, and being stronger and more capable and able to really live my full life and my passion, which is right here, teaching, focusing in this forum on Zoom, where we're reaching the world. Focusing has helped me do that.
Thank you, Lucinda. Hey, Lucinda, while Carol's talking, do you think you can do anything about getting more light on your face?
Okay, I'll do that.
All right. So Carol Nickerson.
Now I'm going to be wondering what Lucinda's doing. I want to go see her house.
She's turning on a light.
Okay.
Very nice. Very nice.
I'm Carol Nickerson.
Yay.
And I never knew really what I wanted to do when I was little. Like when I was little, I thought, well, what do I want to do when I grow up? And then I found out that there was a job that you could have where you sit with people and help them with their problems. I just thought that sounded so cool. Because I didn't really understand people. And I didn't really understand relationships. I didn't really understand, biggest thing is why people would be mean to each other.
It's a mystery.
So I went into the field of social work, and I became a clinical social worker. And I really loved it, and I was really good at it, still am. And in 2005, came across a course Anne was teaching called Getting Unstuck. And it wasn't so much the title that drew me in, it was the description of using, a body-oriented approach that drew me in. And after that, I was hooked. I signed up for all 4 courses. I became a teacher. Here I am today. What focusing has, I could talk the rest of the hour about this, but I won't. What it has given me is a sense of confidence, a sense of being calm. I have more energy in the work I do, and I have a pretty, I work a lot. I like my work, so but it's pretty intense at times. I work a lot with trauma and family systems, and it can get kind of complicated. But I have more energy. So at the end of the day, when I used to kind of drag myself home, I don't have that. And if I sense any of that, I know what to do. I know how to tend to myself in ways that really work, and ways that are efficient and practical and and really easy over time. I mean, at first it's kind of awkward to learn focusing, but I'm not really even sure if awkward fits. There were moments, but both personally and professionally, it's completely changed my life. And I wish I had learned it at 22. I went to therapy at 22, though.
Yeah, yeah. You know, that it's one of the interesting little secrets about focusing. And often, if you go to a promotional webinar, people will say, "Oh, this is so easy." It's going to be easy, but it's not necessarily easy at first. For some people, focusing is easy because it's natural. It's part of their natural gifts. But people like me, alcoholic family background, never had any reward for being in touch with feelings when I was growing up. On the contrary, it took me a while. I had a feeling this is what I want, and I'm going to keep trying and keep trying. And every year, so 45 years, every year, it's been more rewarding and more rewarding and more rewarding. It's helped me with so many things, including releasing writer's block and so on. So we are looking for a few people who have that commitment and dedication and who know you have it. And let's see if we can explore today more about what it will take. I want to come back here and, oops, there we go. So we're going to say a little about where focusing came from. This is my mentor, Eugene Gendlin. He did research on the question, why does therapy work for some people and not others? And he and his colleagues studied tapes of hundreds of therapy sessions and discovered that successful therapy clients would pause and pay attention to the here and now feel of the problem that's more than words could say. And in contrast, the people who tended not to succeed in therapy would either talk, or they would cry, and there wasn't any moment in all of that when they were saying something like, well, it's right here, but it's hard to say. I mean, just that much, just somebody becoming inarticulate for a little while, positively correlated with success in therapy. So Gendlin felt, well, if I now know something that will help people do better in therapy, I don't want to just wait by chance to see which of my clients are going to do it naturally and which not. Let's see if we can teach this to people. And that's where focusing was born as a process that could be taught to people. So what is focusing? Well, it's an awareness process. Therefore, it's something you do internally, right? Something you do within yourself that's based on the idea that a certain kind of body sense, called a felt sense, can help us discover and follow the best next steps of our life. That's a little bit complicated. So there's a kind of body sense called a felt sense, and that's what those successful therapy clients were doing, that actually kind of knows what's wrong and what would be right in your life. And most of us pay more attention to the shouts and the voices all around us, to the advertising, to other people's opinions, to our culture. We pay more attention to those things than to those little whispers inside us. And those little whispers have huge importance for getting calm, clear, centered, and moving forward. So, now this is one of my very favorite quotes from Gene Gendlin. He said, "Every bad feeling is potential energy toward a more right way of being if you give it space to move toward its rightness." I think even the first half of that quote is really amazing. Every bad feeling, without exception, every bad feeling is potential energy. Is potential energy toward a more right way of being. And that's what focusing does. It helps you tap into that potential energy in every bad feeling. It's like the uneasy feeling we get when we look at a crooked picture on the wall. You're looking at a series of pictures and one of them is crooked. You don't have to stop and have the thought, oh, that picture is crooked. Your body already reacts with an uneasy feeling. Something's not right here. And you already, assuming you have the right to do so, are probably walking across the room to straighten out the picture. And this is what a felt sense is. It's a direct, not needing to go through the intellect, the direct experience of rightness or wrongness. And by that, I don't mean moral or religious rightness or wrongness. I mean alignment with your own body process. And we're going to do an exercise in a minute where you can feel what I'm talking about. There we go. We're going to do an exercise. Now, I see that somebody wrote in the Q&A, so let me have a look. Aha! So the question is, what was Dr. Gendlin's relationship to Carl Rogers and with Marshall Rosenberg? I'm happy to answer that. Eugene Gendlin was a student and later a colleague of Carl Rogers. He got into psychotherapy in the first place because he was a philosophy student, but he crossed the campus because he was so interested in what people were doing in the psychology department, and he joined Carl Rogers' practicum. Rogers allowed anybody who he thought would do a good job as a therapist. They didn't have to be a psychology student. So Gene Gendlin immediately contributed to Rogers' research, and Rogers later gave him lots of credit for changing his ideas about what goes on inside the psychotherapy client. Marshall Rosenberg was a colleague of Eugene Gendlin and Carl Rogers a little later than that in something called the Wisconsin Project. Okay. Yeah. Inner relationship focusing is influenced by Marshall Rosenberg as well, because I met Marshall Rosenberg 6 months after I met Gene Gendlin. So I was 44 and a half years ago. And both of them have been very important influences. I'm not a teacher of nonviolent communication, that's Marshall Rosenberg's method, but I feel like I've been very influenced by his ideas in developing my version of focusing, which is what we teach, inner relationship focusing. What I'd like to do is take everybody through an exercise that will be about 10 or 12 minutes. This is a focusing exercise. We'll have you start with an uneasy feeling. All right? So, asking people to find a comfortable spot. You may want to move around so that you're sitting comfortably. And Carol, you may want to turn off your video for a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah. Okay. So here's a little focusing process for us. So letting your body find its most comfortable, supported position right now, which probably means that you're sitting. Although some people do stand or lie down to do focusing. Now become more and more aware of your body as you're sitting there. Being aware of how you're sitting and how you're supported. feeling your body's contact on what you're sitting on, like feeling your feet, the underside of your legs, hips, buttocks area, your back. Just being aware of that sensation of contact and touch. And being aware of your breathing. The process is a kind of slowing down. The more you become aware of your body, the easier it is to slow down. Inviting your awareness inward into that inner area of your body that includes your throat, chest, stomach, and belly. Now, if you find it a little bit challenging to bring awareness into your body, I mean, some people are finding this easy to do. Oh yeah, there's my body and I can feel my throat and chest and stomach. And others might have a hard time. Maybe you feel like your thoughts in your head are moving so quickly that that's really the main thing you're aware of now. Maybe you've got a lot of worries about whether this is going to go well for you, whether you're going to do it right. Maybe some people have a little physical discomfort that's distracting, pulling you away from the process we're doing together. Well, I'll tell you what, I've got something that might really help with any of those things. So just become aware if there's anything pulling you away or keeping you from being able to just bring awareness down into your body, whether it's lots of thoughts or worries or discomfort or anything like that. Okay? And now, just acknowledge whatever that is. It's like you're saying hello. I'm acknowledging my buzzing thoughts. I'm acknowledging the discomfort. I'm acknowledging the part of me that's worried I'm not going to get this today. Hello. Okay? And then after you say hello to that, see whether it's a little easier to feel the throat, the chest, the stomach, the belly, down into this inner middle area of your body. Very good. Now, remember that picture of the three pictures on the wall, and one of them was crooked, and the uneasy feeling that something's not right? Just bring awareness into your body and ask yourself, is there something in my life about which I have an uneasy feeling? It may be my work, it may be a relationship, it may be my health, maybe something I can't put my finger on. And we're going to ask this question and then take a little time, not try to answer it quickly. So bringing awareness down into your body, and might there be anything in my life? Do I have an uneasy feeling? It could be an uncomfortable feeling. It could be a feeling of something being off, right? However you want to say it. Is there an uneasy feeling about my life? And while you're doing that, you may notice that a number of areas of your life are feeling okay. That's great. Or you might feel, oh gosh, yes, there's so many areas of my life that feel off or not quite right. Okay, well, that's all right too. So if there's many, see if it's okay to acknowledge each one of them. Like you've got a whole room full of children and you're patting each one on the head. Hello to you, hello to you, hello to you. But maybe there's one that kind of stands out. And we're especially interested in the body feeling. Probably somewhere in the throat, chest, stomach, belly area. Although it could be elsewhere. And my word was uneasy, so that might not be your word. So maybe take a little time to describe what it is you're feeling. And by the way, this kind of feeling is not easy to describe. And that's why we like to use the word something. I'm feeling something about that area of my life. I'm feeling something uneasy or not quite right or uncomfortable, but I can't quite describe it, about that area of my life. We pause, like I'm not just talking all the time, because each step we're doing together takes a little time. Notice how you start by feeling it maybe a little bit, and then as you stay a little longer, you can feel it a bit stronger. Or some other people might start by feeling overwhelmed because there's so much there, but then as you stay a bit, it sort of sorts itself out, and one of them is clearly the one in the center. So things happen when we take a little bit of time. Now this place that you're feeling in your body, and you've said hello to it, see if it's okay to be gentle and respectful to it. Like we're going to assume that it knows something about you and your life, that it's here in order to help you, in order to let you know something. We always want to know what's not quite right. All right? That's valuable information. The earlier we know that something's not quite right, the easier it is to make adjustments. So we're grateful to whatever this is, that it came to point to an area of your life. If something needs attention here. So see if you can communicate with it your gratitude and your interest in knowing more. Now, some people may have already realized or learned something about the area of life and why it doesn't feel quite right now. Other people, it may take a bit longer. Let's take a few minutes right now. You're in contact with this feeling in your body. You respect and feel grateful to it for coming to show you something. Just be open to what it is. What it is. And you can allow images to come. You can allow emotions to come. Words may come. But whatever comes from this place in the body, you'll offer it back like you're checking. Is that right? Did I understand you right? Let's take a minute to do that. All right. So we're going to complete this exercise in a minute or two, but just notice what it feels like to begin to make a relationship with something that you feel that's different from just speculating and guessing, thinking, I think I know what this is. You're actually in contact with a body sense that knows something. It knows that something's not quite right, and as you stay with it longer, it's going to tell you even more about that. Let's see whether, well, to complete our exercise gracefully, we're going to take a minute just to have you say thank you to your body, to your body's process, and to the parts of you that have spoken to you through your body. And then begin bringing awareness outward so that you're also aware of what's around you again. And we would enjoy hearing from people. If a few people want to tell us what you noticed, feel free to do that. And you can type in the chat if you want to. And I could give somebody, I could ask, if you wanted, you could come up on stage and then we'd be able to see and hear you. That's up to you. I won't do that to anybody unless you want that to happen. Well, while we're looking forward to having people share what happened in that process, I wanted to just answer a question that came in from Donna, who asks, how is focusing any different than the process of mindfulness, which requires radical acceptance? I've found that the simple act of placing awareness on a feeling fully without judgment shifts it with a yawn and a sense of release. Such a wonderful question, and of course, since mindfulness is so widely known and so wonderfully broadly used these days, it's an important question. Focusing does that and more, because this is not just about releasing, it's about the information that's in the feeling itself. So you have many body feelings. There's feelings of stress that are simply the stress of your life that you just want to release by just feeling it. But the felt sense, that's what Gendlin studied in his research, is a very particular kind of body sense that's actually pointing to a whole complex of important information that area of your life needs attention, and that part of you is speaking to you about that. So that's why we call this work inner relationship, because in the relationship with the part of you that's speaking, you not only release something, but you also move forward. That the felt sense forming is the next steps of your life. So we not only release body sensations, but we also get past blocks, release trauma, and change relationship issues, among other things. And there's making decisions. So here's a chat from Sharon, who writes, I have constant fear. Oh gosh, I'm sorry to hear that. That sounds kind of painful. And I have difficulties stopping my obsessive trying. I got in touch with letting my head and jaw drop and hang and met my profound fatigue. Wonderful. You know, I just think it's so powerful to acknowledge what we feel. Is that in you that's feeling a profound fatigue? And we can see why it would be feeling that profound fatigue if there's been obsessive trying going on. In fact, I would say there's a part of you that's felt the need to try and try and try and be obsessive about all that. And then there's another part of you just wanting to let you know how tired it is. And that you in that exercise were able to turn toward it. It's just beautiful. That's great. And there will be more. And there'll be more. Lucinda or Carol, do you want to read what Joan wrote in the chat?
Okay. Joan writes that she had a felt sense around career. The word uncertain came up. And then came, I don't think it will fulfill me. Don't know if it will make me happy and satisfied.
Okay. Sounds like a step. Yeah. Something is giving a signal that there's something about career that needs attention. There's a further coming of something about, will it make me happy? Will it make me satisfied? There's a whole body resource that this is pointing to, knowing what would bring satisfaction and happiness. That's like an inner touchstone that lets us know about these things. Got a few more questions. Diana was reporting that the body said, I need to relax and slow down. Well, it's interesting. There's a lot of those today, huh? Yeah. Oh, and Donna, who asked earlier about mindfulness, now is asking about felt sensing related to internal family systems. No. Internal family systems, a great way of working with parts. We also work with parts, but I don't believe internal family systems works with felt senses. So we're going to say a little more about the course. We want to say a little now about how we can help you more. So how can you learn focusing? And then we're going to come back and interact with you more. Carol, sorry, you were muted. Were you saying? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
What would you like to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, because we had somebody write in before class asking a little bit about trauma.
Oh, good.
And getting overwhelmed or triggered in this process.
Good.
And I would just say in general that I think focusing, this process is the safest process I've ever studied, and I have studied quite a few, that the nature of it is such that the process itself is slow, and we acknowledge what we notice, and we're taught in such a supportive, safe setting that if we have trauma in our histories or we get activated, maybe we had a traumatic day, there's really a lot of safety and containment that happens, not only in focusing, but in this class. So, it's important that we have support and tools for all sorts of things. And, I love therapy. I'm a therapist. Spirituality, Buddhism. There's so many self-help tools out there that are awesome.
Let's use them.
Nothing is as good as it can be without focusing.
They'll all be better with focusing.
I'm sorry, but that's
our
the way it is.
That's our
experience.
That's right.
Yeah.
And focusing can be combined with any of those other things.
Absolutely.
And focusing is fabulous for trauma because it is, as Carol said, based on the body's own sense of rightness. And so nobody ever goes faster than the sense of rightness allows. Many authorities today, Bessel van der Kolk, Babbitt Rothschild and so on, people who are thinking and writing about trauma, they all say trauma shifts in the body. That doesn't seem controversial anymore. And focusing is a great methodology for that, because it lets you really learn how to follow and match the body's pace of change. And so nothing is ever pushed or rushed. I think it's when we push that we re-traumatize. We're going to say a little about the course that's coming up, because we so much want to answer the questions people have had about the training, the focusing training, that we three are the teachers of the focusing training program. So with that training, or with any focusing training, you'll be able to pause and notice what you feel in your body, those subtle felt senses that hold the key to change. You'll be able to describe what you feel without judging it, and it's amazing how often we judge what we feel, and that is similar to mindfulness that much. And then you'll be able to invite felt senses about particular issues, like I want to get a felt sense of the decision I'm making, or about this relationship I'm in, etc. You'll be able to increase your sense of self-esteem and self-acceptance by shifting your relationship with inner critics. And you can start with an uncomfortable feeling and discover what it's really about and feel it clear up and shift. And I can't read that. All right. Okay, let's try this. One slide, share screen. Oh, gosh. I'm sorry. Anyway, increase your ability. That was important. Increase your ability to feel enjoyable, positive feelings and to know what's really right for you. I love that about focusing. Focusing is not just about feeling bad. You increase your ability to feel enjoyable, positive feelings, right? Right, Lucinda?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So true. So true. All right. Oops. Okay, next slide. So that's our website, focusingresources.com. And the way to find the course is that you go to the website, you hover your mouse over the Take a Course in the menu, go down to For Beginners, go over to the right to Level 1, The Door Opens, and that's the course we're talking about. It's called Level 1, The Door Opens. That's taught by Lucinda. The whole focusing training program is 4 levels. Now, we're past the early registration date for that course, but we're all very excited and happy that you're here with us today, or you're listening later. So we're giving you the early registration price again. All you need to do is put in the word, the code 1 early, because it's level 1. So ONEEARLY, 1 early, no spaces, all capital letters, and that will give you the $50 off. That will give you the early registration fee again. And the last day to register for this upcoming course is September 12th. This upcoming course will start in 2 weeks at the same time that this webinar started. So whatever time this is in your time zone, here in California, it's getting close to 10 minutes till 5 right now. We started at 4 o'clock in California. It was 7 o'clock on the East Coast. Whatever time it was, the webinar started, that's when the course starts 2 weeks from now. You have 1 week, 1 early. We're going to talk later about how you can find out more about that course if you're not sure. Level 1 is the one we're talking about. It's followed by Level 2, also taught by Lucinda, also followed by Level 3, taught by Carol, and Level 4 taught by me. And it's possible to take all of them in sequence at that same time of day. In September, October, each one is 5 weeks long. So September, October will be the first one. then November, December, then February, March, and then April, May. You can also just take the first one and come back later to take more. They're modular. All you're committing to is the first one. Let's say a few things about what focusing helps with. Your emotions don't take you over. Instead of being knocked over and swept away by your emotional states, you get bigger than your emotions. So you can react calmly and effectively to life situations. And I hope you're all asking yourself, is that something that I'm looking for? Because that's how you can tell in your own body if you have an inner sense of rightness of pursuing this path. With focusing, you discover what you really want. And when you're confused or faced with tough decisions, you discover you have an inner compass that can guide you on your way forward. With focusing, you have healthier relationships. If your relationships are challenged by emotional communication patterns, do you know what I mean? When my daughter was a teenager, I sometimes felt I was being taken over by my own mother. And words were coming out of my mouth that I never wanted to say. And I needed to do some healing of that relationship from the past in order to have my present relationships work better. Well, focusing powerfully helped me do that. So if your relationships are challenged by emotional communication patterns, you can more easily sort out your side and begin communicating more clearly, and all of your relationships get better. And you don't have to keep ignoring something that isn't right for you. So with focusing, you can be aware of inner signals that something in your world needs attention. So you can address and take care of matters before they get out of hand. And you move out of the past for good. So with focusing, you get past the past. So it no longer overshadows the present. And that, I'm afraid it's true of so many of us, that we live smaller lives than we would need to because of limitations imposed by the traumas of the past. You know, my dad, when I was growing up, when I was self-expressive, he would say, "Who do you think you are? Why do you think anybody wants to know what you think?" And it hurt. You know, I survived it. It didn't kill me. But many years later, when I was working with my writer's block, I traced a lot of it back to those early years. And now I write with freedom and joy because focusing helped me release those old emotional hurts. It helped me first understand that they were even there and then release them. So it frees us up to respond to the present as it actually is. So what really makes change possible is when you give yourself gentle, respectful, inclusive, and positive attention. Right? What do we mean by that? Gentle, respectful, inclusive. Inclusive means that every part of yourself is worthwhile. You don't have any enemies inside of you. Even inner critics, we're going to learn to turn toward and accept. And your emotions get what they need in order to transform on their own, without effort and work on your part. And even your most difficult emotions can be sources of positive change and growth. So what would you like to use focusing for? We're here. Who has a question? Who has a comment? Who would like to have us consult on something you're facing? You can either put a question in the Q&A or in the chat. Or if you're really daring, let us put you on the screen. There's a Q&A. Michael, have you found an approach to working specifically with males? We don't think that our approach is especially for males. Males and females both have been helped by focusing. People who have difficulty feeling are helped by focusing. And there are a disproportionate number of men in that basket, but I also was when I first tried to learn focusing. And people who have strong emotions, too many emotions, are helped by focusing. Focusing helps both move toward a more balanced middle. Lucinda, you were telling us earlier about the highly sensitive wiring, right?
Mm-hmm.
Focusing's helped you with that.
Helped me with that. And I was one of those people on the other end of the spectrum where I had so many feelings and emotions, I'd be taken over by it. So focusing really helped me to contain all of that more and not be taken over by too much emotion. Mm-hmm.
And we've also worked with people that many times who are like, feelings, what feelings? Body, what body?
Right.
Focusing is actually an ideal way to help people respect and honor even the not wanting, right? Everything is welcome. Everything is included.
Especially the not wanting. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, here's a question from Joanne. Does the shift come from noticing the current felt sense and attuning to it? Or is there an epiphany, aha moment of awareness and affect, labeling the awareness that comes after noticing it that creates the shift? The shift actually is the felt sense itself. So a felt sense is not there at first, and when you bring awareness to your body and you ask the question, what in my life needs attention? Or what about that particular topic or issue needs attention? Your body forms a felt sense, and that is already a shift. Then we teach a series of steps that include saying hello to it, describing it, sitting with it with interested curiosity, sensing how it feels from its point of view, and then getting to know what it wants to let us know. At every one of those stages, there's a potential for a shift. So, hard to say that any of those is the shift, wouldn't you say? My fellow panelists here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've experienced focusing sessions or times when I feel something change and I can't put words to it, but I just know because I trust the process, and something will show up and I'll say, oh, that's what it was. And definitely since I've been focusing, I would say I do have more aha moments. They don't necessarily come when I'm focusing. They just come. They just come. So
right. That's what I was
kind of fun. Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Sometimes it can be later. Like I have a focusing session one day and it always feels good to do focusing, but it doesn't feel like something shifts right at that moment. But then the next day, something feels totally
I've had that happen. I've had that happen too. Yeah. I've just put all of our email addresses into the chat for everyone. We were talking, I was saying there's a way to find out more. All of us would be delighted to chat with you about our upcoming courses, and perhaps Lucinda is the most likely person, most directly relevant person to chat with you since she's the teacher of the first course. In the fee for the first course, a 50-minute session with Lucinda is included. And that will happen ideally before the course itself so that you can really get the feel for the process before you're in the course. And however, the sooner you sign up, the better, because some of those sessions may need to have to be put off because of scheduling reasons. So another reason to do this soon. Let's see if there's any more questions. How do we work with people with a sudden debilitating illness? Absolutely. How does focusing help with acceptance when everything inside wants to deny and resist? What a beautiful question. Well, we would turn toward something wanting to deny and resist. See, what we're working with in focusing is the concept of self in presence, which is that there's a you that's bigger than your emotional states. So you would turn toward the part of you that wants to deny and resist. You would turn toward something that can't believe it. You would turn towards something that's feeling a sense of loss and grief about the lost potential, right?
And
so much
the way we teach this, all of this, is very slowly, step by step, it's like there's so many programs out there about self-compassion and treating oneself and having a good relationship with yourself and loving yourself. And I'm not really sure how many of them teach you how.
Right.
And this one does.
Step by step, we teach you how. So, and you know, everyone knows they should accept, but I don't think it does any good to say to yourself, I should accept. I think that just creates more of an inner struggle. I should accept, but I don't accept.
Yeah, it just adds a layer.
Instead, we turn toward whatever's here, including denying and resisting, and say hello to that. And that alone lowers stress. Everything is welcome. There's another question in the Q&A. Having such fun here. Are there guided recordings like the one you did today? Yes, absolutely. Go on Focusing Resources. If you go to the place on the website, I think it's called Free Stuff.
Free stuff. Or
Yeah,
free
it's
resources.
across the menu item. I think one of them says Free Stuff. We have a whole library, including recordings of guided exercise. Yeah, and also I have a CD set called Learning Focusing. That could get you started. It's nothing like our course, but some people like it and has 5 guided exercises. Wow! Well, it's been so fun to be with everybody today. I can really sense the curiosity and the interest out there. If you are at all interested in going forward with us one way or another, please let us know. And remember that no matter how you choose to go forward, we believe you have an inner sense of rightness for how you want to do that. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye for now. Take care.